Hello and welcome to another Your Lurgan podcast. We're out in the open today at the heart of Lurgan. I forget what they call this area. I know it's Market Street that we're in, but they call this not the arena. What do they call this area?
We call it a plaza.
It is. It's called the plaza. Welcome to the podcast.
You should get some deck chairs out and some tables out and...
You're a step ahead of me,
Get ready for the summer.
Well, we will do. I'm Donald McCone.
I'm Michael Scott. Hello.
I'm good and got things sorted out. I'm afraid the energy crisis hasn't been sorted out, but it looks like we're going to be getting some reward and help from somewhere.
There's been some hints and tips, some help coming from the government, so I think everyone's getting £400, which is a start.
And I have to be fair, through Northern Ireland offices last time round, we did receive something, the older folk like me.
Yeah, I think there's more help to come as well. Again, some of it, from what I understand, may be reliant on whether or not an executive set up. But yeah, it's positive news anyway, so I like to think we played a small part in that.
Well, I think pricking the conscience of those is always good, whether it's from near and far and further afield, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned about that. Something, before we go into the whole stories today, I mentioned to you that I'd like to mention this. Something that pricked my conscience, in fact gave me a bit of pain, a bit of personal pain more than anything else. I was driving just along this stretch of the road last night to my left, as it were, on Market Street. And it was about 9 o'clock, just as there was plenty of light still out there. And I caught in the corner of my eye someone lying down with a blanket or probably a sleeping bag around them and preparing to lay down for the night. Now, many of you perhaps have seen homeless people on our streets here in Lurgan. I certainly never did. It was a shock to me in one sense. And I'm not talking about a shaming shock that, oh, he, she shouldn't be there. The very opposite. Why is that person there? What can I do to help? Now, in the end, Michael, I ended up and I drove home and I was concerned about it, but not enough to have done something. So that'll stay with me. That's a personal thing. Is this something that you're aware of, that we have homeless people on the streets? I'm not naive enough to say.
In Lurgan, no, I have to say that's the first I've heard of it. Maybe people out there can correct us and tell us it's something they've seen, but it's not something I've seen here. I've seen it in other local towns. I mean, Armagh, where I used to work, it happened there. We're about to get interfered with.
Hello there, ma'am. Nice to have you. As you can see, it's a happening, buzzing place.
We really did choose the wrong place to stand here in the middle of the crossing.
Or the best place.
Well, the best place, yeah. I worked in Armagh there, as some of you will know, and for a while there was a homeless man. But actually, I think it was two homeless people actually living sleeping in the doorway of a shop around the corner from where my office was. And then in Uri, it happened there as well, but I'm not aware of it happening here. It's a sad state of affairs, really, that's happening. And I don't blame you, for driving on. Many people would. And it will prick the conscience of many people. It's already pricked yours. So,
as I say, I'm not naive enough to know that people find themselves homeless. I might have said before, I almost found myself many years ago in a very different location through a mental illness, ending up on the street. I was lucky that members of the local police force actually picked me up. Now, it was south of Ireland, and they brought me back to base and gave me somewhere to stay, but it was only for an hour or two till my relatives were able to get in contact. Very different situation. Mm-hmm. These are people who made the conscious decision to live outside. Forget about what their mental health state is in, their economic state, or whatever it is. What is there that we can do to kind of change that situation? And I say again, Michael, it's not about cleaning up the streets. It is never ever about that. I came from San Francisco, where I lived for 4 or 5 years, and they have many homeless. I don't call it a problem, but they talk about it there as the homeless problem, as if they're a group of kind of physical things we can just move on and hide away and ignore and don't have to dirty up our lovely gentrified city. I don't mean it that way. I mean it in the very opposite. As a human being, you don't want to see anyone in a situation that you wouldn't want to be yourself.
That's it. I think all of us have we've all got a bit of compassion, and if we saw something like that there, we would be concerned and think maybe buy them a cup of coffee or something like that. Many of us think of it and then walk on and don't, which is, again, I suppose, a very natural thing to do, because there's a perception out there that sometimes people who are homeless are there because for a reason, shall we say, maybe through drugs or maybe through rows at home or something like that there, that they have caused this situation. But in many cases that's not the case.
I would say even regardless of that they've caused this situation, would you in your right mind want to be out in the street, whatever the circumstances?
No, absolutely not. No, you wouldn't want to be there. If you put yourself in their shoes, you wouldn't swap places with them. Absolutely not. But I suppose at the end of the day, like, it's still not warm. It's still cold. I mean, it's not ideal. I think we should be trying to find these people some help, and I hope there's plenty of organisations out there that will.
I just think back to a conversation you had well at the start of when we got together in the kind of idea of being on camera and doing stories digitally. You spoke to Gillian,
Yes.
Gillian in the Potato Bar, and Gillian was making efforts, collecting money to put towards sleeping bags, tents that they give to people in Belfast.
Yeah, there's a group in Newry who help people down in Dublin. They will help people on their own doorstep as well, but a lot of where the resources go down to Dublin as well. I don't really know where I'm going with that story. I'm just sort of
I know that people
comparing. But yes,
I know. Once again, Rowan Hand, a great journalist over the years,
friend of mine, good man.
Rowan would regularly go down to Dublin and help others, and the help can be used here on our doorstep. Either I'm talking about something that I didn't do anything about. Many people are doing it, and perhaps secretly and not wanting to kind of blaze and put a big poster up. I did this, I did the other. Just doing it quietly. It struck me that, is there something we could all do? Is there something we can do to help? Not to obliterate, but to obliterate the need for people to go out and about. Is there a halfway home? Is there a settlement situational circumstance?
There are certainly halfway homes about. Mind you, many people may actually feel, having covered court long enough, that maybe sometimes those halfway homes would be just better to sleep in the streets, to be quite honest, given that some of the cases that come out of the courts. But anyway, that's by the by.
It's something to perhaps down to myself to investigate and help move forward. I just thought it came up in my own conversation with myself, and I needed somebody to put it out there too. That's all.
Hello, how are you? That's me.
Yeah, there you are. There you are. Well, let's get to the other stories of the week.
Yes, one of the big stories we had this week was the future of Craigavon Senior High School, the Lurgan campus, where we are still coming into June now, and we don't know whether that school is going to be open or not next year, or the campus rather. Those of you who have been following along will know that there have been long plans to close the Lurgan campus and amalgamate them all into the one in Portadown. That's led to many calls, particularly down in South Lurgan, as I like to call it. I suppose that is what it is South Lurgan.
Just off the Millennium Way if you're ever driving, because I passed it yesterday, and I see the new Home Bargains building that you're talking about, just on the opposite side of the road, a little bit of the playing fields of that junior high school. And I'm sitting and I'm thinking, and this is from a different perspective, I won't be going to the school, not as a pupil, that's for sure. I'm not a parent who'll be sending someone to the school because I don't have that responsibility anymore. But what about, first of all, the parents who live nearby, the young people who may or may not be going to, and all of a sudden they have to move from a fairly central location to them and have to move 5-6 miles away when there are, what I think, but I don't know, I'm not the person, the expert, there are perfectly good buildings there. What's the whole reason for moving? What's the logic?
The Education Authority put a proposal in to close the Lurgan campus of the school. So the Education Authority put in this proposal to close the Lurgan campus of the school. There have long been calls for not so much to save the campus, but to find a Lurgan solution. And one of the solutions, as you actually point out, is perhaps expanding the junior high, making that up, or the serve people's up to 16 rather than up to as far as third year. So that's been a suggestion that's been made. However, there have been, we're now into June. This has been on the table for the Education Minister for quite some time now, and parents want to know what's happening. We've had statements in this week from Doug Beattie, the UUP MLA for Upperban, making the point that this needs resolved very, very quickly, because we're coming in. Parents, as I said, don't know where they're sending their kids next year. Are they sending them to Portadown? Are they sending them to school around here? Do they send them somewhere else like Banbridge? So yeah, it's an issue that needs resolved very quickly. The Education Minister needs to make a resolution on that one fairly soon for the sake of the parents and the kids around here.
We're keeping to hope to hear more. You mentioned about the Minister for Education. The Assembly is locked in where it can go. I know ministers have responsibilities that they can still carry on, but there are no answers coming.
No answers coming, no. And as I say, she's had this on her desk for quite some time. I think it was back in March we first reported on the fact that this had been tabled. Is it
a contentious political issue that the youngsters and the children are caught up in? The school is caught up?
There was suggestions from people who I spoke to in relation to the matter that the minister was dragging her heels in the hope that there would be an election, and therefore she may not be the Education Minister anymore. That's maybe unfair. But she still is the Education Minister due to the fact that the DUP aren't taking their seats in Stormont, and therefore we haven't got a Speaker, and therefore we haven't got an Assembly, and we haven't got whatever else. So she, rightly or wrongly, if she is dragging her heels, a decision needs made.
We just have to watch this space, or where that space is moving to, I suppose you should put it. Let's move on to some other stories then, and what are we looking at in the another busy week of news here in Lurgan?
It has been exceptionally busy this week. We've been putting out stories all week. Like, not just, we usually go from 7 to 7, and we're going on to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock now in the evening every night, and even right throughout the weekend as well.
And listeners and viewers growing on that basis too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a target in mind. I'm not going to say that target in case there's any of our rivals watching. You know who you are. But we're on course to beat that target for the year within the next month.
Wow.
So I'm really, really happy if I think
so. We're nearly 6 months ahead of the target. Good stuff.
But anyway, back to the news. One of the things we're looking at, and hopefully you're going to get a further dig into as well, is the Black Pass out Craigavon. There's Cycle Week is coming up in the next couple of weeks, and as part of that, a group called Cycle, I think that's what they're called, Cycle, are organising a number of events in and around Craigavon to celebrate the Black Pass, which is something that they have been trying to highlight for a while, that they're there and that people are using them, and maybe not people using them as much as what they should. It's one of the first active travel pass in Ireland, as I understand it. In case anybody wondering what the Black Pass are, it's all those little networks of cycle pass that run around Craigavon.
Isn't it the fact that you can go from Portadown to Lurgan and never go on a main road?
Correct, yeah. So that was one of the sort of the features of Craigavon whenever it was first built as a new city back in the 60s. Dominic, can you remember?
67 onwards, I suppose. They kind of kicked us out in 70, so Goodyear came in 68 and 9 and all the rest of it,
yeah.
Quite that.
So they had never been mapped either, the Black Pass, so until recently, which is what Cycle have done. They've got some funding as well to do this, and now in conjunction with the council and I think it's Live Here, Love Here, one of the local environment bodies, they're holding some events to celebrate the Black Pass.
And I'm looking to reach out to them, and because I'm the world's worst cyclist. If I told you, and this is a secret, Michael, I never learned to ride a bike till I was 17.
I'm shocked.
I'm sure you are. Most people are on a bike since they're about 3. Regardless of that, I've got over that. You can shame me if you like, but it's a waste of time. In recent times, I'm not able to stand up some days, as you know. I've got a bit stronger now, as it were. but I'm still not up to riding a bicycle. I'm hoping to reach out to the folks, and we're going to do that now in the very near future, and go out on one of these cycle routes with them. And hopefully I'm going to be either a pillion passenger.
Aye, get a backy.
That's a motorbike, isn't it? I'm going to be a pillion passenger somewhere or other, and we'll get a flavour of it and see what it's really like.
That'd be really good. But no, some really good events for all the family. All the details are on your Lurgan, so go take a look. They're in the community section, I think. Actually, no, they're not. They're in the main news section. Go take a look, you'll find them.
There we are. They're in the news cycle, dare we say.
Quit. Search on your Lurgan for CYCUL. It'll come up.
Let's get another one in. I'm looking for a spokesman for them. Okay, let's move on.
What else we're going to talk about? Oh, the Jethro Centre. You've been down with them. With
It was really interesting.
Two
reports. Really interesting. Fine building. Only there effectively since 2008, 2009. They actually completed the new build. Before that, it was St Andrew's Church. Hall, as it were, attached to the very church behind us here, Shankill Parish, which is looking resplendent today, even though the sun's not completely out. So it was basically set up by the parish, but with a lot of partners and a lot of engagement and involvement over the years. COVID set them back in their plans, but they're up and running again. I didn't get up to Cafe Incredible. I will eventually.
Oh, we will. We'll go up someday for our lunch.
Which is a separate entity in the sense that they're leaseholders there. But it's brilliant. It's a really, really good centre. I was up at a function for St Patrick's Day. It was a national or international conventions where the people from Syria, from Bulgaria, from Poland, and one or two from Ireland. Really, really great night it was. But just the whole idea and the concept of that centre, reaching out to bring people in and to let them forget that they're from different communities, that there's one community, as it were.
Yeah, that's a really good place. I've been along. I actually played five-a-side football in there once upon a time.
Wow.
I've been to a couple of events as well. A group I was briefly involved with held a launch of their, what was it for? They were going the Moore Mountain Rescue Team, fundraiser for them. So yeah, no, really good facilities.
Sam Kerr and people like that.
Exactly, the very same people. So yes.
Sam's from out your country, isn't he?
He is, yeah. So
a good man.
Yeah. So yeah, really good event. Really good facility, and I suppose we may as well let the people have a wee watch of your report.
We do. We find that our footfall numbers are, again, this would have been prior to COVID, and we're starting to see numbers climb back to this. Usually about somewhere between 16 to 1700 people per week coming through the doors. Many of those people coming through multiple times as well. And again, from a good broad breakdown of the community. It's not all just one community. We have people coming from all backgrounds.
Would it be fair to say that the perception outside Lurgan is not anywhere close to near the reality that we are a town that is connected, need to be more connected perhaps, but the outside opinion needs to be challenged greatly?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've used this example all the time. In my younger day, I would have teased my friends from Lurgan mercilessly about Lurgan because there's as you said, the outside perceptions of the town sometimes are very unjust. And it was quite humbling whenever I came to work here, just to see how much good work's going on, how much good cross-community work there has been going on, not just since I arrived, but long before. We are actually standing on the shoulders of people who have been doing great work for generations before us. Is there work still to be done? Definitely. We can't deny that there are still problems in our town. But the foundational work is there, and it's a privilege to work in Lurgan. So
let's look at some more stories, Michael.
Yes, well, you've been busy this week, I have to say.
For a change.
You were out interviewing. Who were the happiest people in the world at the weekend?
Well, I know I was one of them. I was standing among a crowd of people, about 1,300 people, outside Brownlow House at the Master McGrath Festival. Am I on the right lines?
Not quite.
Yes, I know.
Fast forward a few hours.
Okay. Well, the next day, does this involve sky blue colours?
Certainly does. And we're not talking about Coventry City. I'm on sky blues.
Okay. The real sky blues.
The other sky blues.
Manchester City, a supporter. I came in contact with a lovely fella, a young McConville. Really, really nice. Christopher. and we had a really good chat. And he had a bit of footage. You saw the footage of him running onto the pitch. I mean, everybody else had run on that stage, so it wasn't a violent act. It was just an act of exuberance. And it was wonderful to see him.
To be fair, if Glenavon never win the league at Moorview Park, I'll be on the pitch myself, and the police can do whatever they want. They can arrest me, whatever.
Some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over. Keep your fingers crossed.
Keep my fingers crossed, yeah. We'll wait a while on that. But anyway, yes, great win for Man City. Dramatic stuff in the end, because when it came down to the final few minutes of the last game of the season to decide who was going to win the title, and in the end, City got their hands on the trophy. And look, he's had a great day. Fair play to him. He's lived every fan's dream of seeing their team lift the title, and he's got onto the pitch at the end as well. So good stuff.
So elation, and then the opportunity to go on to the pitch. I mean, it was controversial elsewhere on the same pitch, rather sadly, but you're not involved in that. You got a chance to go onto the pitch, and I think we have a little insight into that.
Yeah, so at the end, we did hear a few messages and it said no fans are down to the pitch and stuff like that. But at the time, I didn't think about any rules or regulations or anything. I just ran on to celebrate with everyone else, and it was what a atmosphere, what an event. It was brilliant, like so.
Best moment of your life in some senses, or is that too dramatic?
No, I'd probably say so. Yeah, there's it's definitely the most memorable one, but yeah, 100% I would say.
And what did the mates who were chipping away at you when you were behind? What did they have to say afterwards, or did those messages disappear thereafter?
Not too much. They had a lot to say whenever the second goal went in, because that was scored by Coutinho, the ex-Liverpool player, and obviously Villa were managed by Gerrard as well, so it was kind of like a fairy tale ending for Liverpool. But they didn't have too much to say after the final whistle. Neither did I. I was too busy celebrating. So
we're recording this, as you know, on the street. We're on the Friday, but by that time we'll know the result of the Champions League and whether Liverpool have managed to get their seventh. Oh, I've lost count. Yeah. Their hands on the 7th time on the European trophy, and we had reports last night in the town, which you can now see a reflection of, because that's where I was last night. There's a young boy beside us here. Unless his parents are here, we can't ask him. Can this man come and speak to us? What's your first name? You're the only footballer we've seen tonight, because you've got a real football. You're a Liverpool supporter, aren't you?
Yep.
And your dad's a Man U supporter?
Yep.
How does that work out?
I don't know.
Your mum's obviously in charge of the house, because she looks after you in the event of that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Liverpool as a football team?
Oh, stable, yeah, good.
Who's your favourite player?
Probably Becker, because I'm a keeper as well.
Oh, you're a goalkeeper. I tell you what, Michael, we just happened to have a football. I didn't know this was going to happen, but I tell you what, could you start as the goalkeeper on the goal post? Yeah. Can we get you back there, the other Liverpool man as the goal post? So you go back a little bit. I'm going to score here, because I'm going to show you my private. Yeah,
sure.
Stay with your no, you don't.
You're a goal post.
You're a goal post. Okay, I meant you were goal post, right? See if you can save this now. I don't want to break his leg.
I'll die.
This is exclusive. Are you watching Koppel? No, not Koppel. Are you watching Mr. Liverpool? Because this is going to be my job next year. I'm going to be Premier League.
No chance.
Penalties it goes to, and what else?
Well done.
Wow, I hope. Who's the manager of this team now? Who's the manager of Glenavon? Been here.
Gary Hamilton.
He plays for us at Lurgan Town.
Gary Hamilton, Lurgan Town. I tell you, I'm going to come and watch you. I think it's time to go and watch the game. If you're at home watching, hope you enjoyed this little preview. We hopefully will join you halfway through. Michael Scott's on camera. I'm Donald McCone for your Lurgan. So we continue in the sporting mode now and look at the sports.
Yeah, well, we've had. We'll start off with football. A couple of big bits of news out of Moorview Park. Glenavon have signed a goalkeeper, Rory Brown. Welcome to the club, Rory. Good to see you. No doubt we'll have an interview with him in the very near future. I haven't got speaking to him yet because they're all off in pre-season. Other bits of news connected to Glenavon include international call-ups for Conor Scannell, who's with the Northern Ireland under-19s. And, he's not strictly speaking like an Glenavon player anymore, but we're claiming him until he signs for somebody else. Goalkeeper Josh Clark, who helped us out towards the end of last season, whenever we're in a pickle with no goalkeeper. Josh who was with Bournemouth, joined Glenavon for the last 6 or 7 games of the season, and he's earned himself an international call-up, which is amazing. So I think he'd been with the Northern Ireland squads during their last games, and he's been called up as well for training camp in England, and now he's in with the full internationals for the games coming up next week, or this coming weekend if you're listening to this on Sunday or over the course of the week. So well done to those two lads on that. And elsewhere in sport, success for a well-known Lurgan man, Neil Lennon, who has won the Cypriot Cup with Omania Nicosia. I hope I said that right.
I've just booked the flight actually on expenses of your Lurgan to go out and see him and do an exclusive interview. I knew you wouldn't mind.
If my boss is watching, I haven't approved this. But
well, he does come home.
He does come home from time to time again. Yeah,
so we'll be reaching out to him to have a word.
Yeah, well, surely. Yeah, dramatic stuff in that cup final as well. It was they went down to 10 men early doors, finished the game 0-0, went to penalties, and in extra time, himself got sent off.
He did. He had a few. Let's do the round of applause that he did. He kind of gave a round of applause to the referee.
To be fair, anyone who's watched football has often wanted to do that to a referee, so I don't blame him. But
the referee will never see the ones I've got because he's blind apparently in every game. But anyway,
you're not a slag off referees anymore apparently. But anyway,
heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid.
I wouldn't take the job for a pension. And you do wonderful jobs, referees. Sometimes you get things wrong, but you're listening. I'm a human being too, so
sometimes. Go and have a look. Go and have a look. In the sports section of your Lurgan, there's footage of this sarcastic clap, which is well worth a look. It's funny. In fact, the tweet we have embedded into the post describes it as him clapping like Pingu. Brilliant, fantastic.
Pingu doesn't sue.
No. And what else? We've got a big weekend of GAA, of course, this weekend as well. So Eugene Creaney's been looking ahead to that. I'm just reminding myself of the fixtures as well.
I think I did see this today.
Both Tones are playing St Paul's, is it? St Peter's?
I think it's St Paul's. I think. But two local teams either side of the town, as it were. One on the Portadown side, and Wolf Tones are kind of out towards Downmaccash, as you know. So that's local enough for us, for sure. And what's coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend, of course, is the big Armagh versus Tyrone clash.
That's right.
They came out of the hat. I was listening as they came out. The only advantage I can see is that we got the home venue this time. It'll be in Armagh, and we'll get to talk to Eugene sometime during the week to get his forecast and where it's going to go. It's a very interesting one. It's the team we want at least, and yet it's the team, like every other, that we're going to have to beat if we want to progress.
Well, I mean, if you're going to win competitions, you're going to have to beat the best teams to win them. So, yeah. It'll be an interesting one to see how that goes. Eugene does want to come on the podcast. We'll have to get him on. I was talking to him the other day. He loves our work. So we'll have to get him on for a chat. And I'm not here next week, right enough, so you can get him on, huh?
Oh, it's a busy week coming up next week, isn't it? Those are all the stories?
That's all our stories, yeah.
Well, let's reflect on what is coming up next week, because I'll be out on that bike, because we want to promote the bike run before the week, because it's the week after. But the show is coming up. Lurgan show is coming up next weekend.
That's right, Lurgan show's next weekend. That'll be fantastic, yeah. And the Jubilee events you're going to be at as well.
I'm going to be at all of that. I'm never going to be off your screen. Make sure you get tuned for alerts to our page so that when we go live, that you will get the alert and then you can join us. Isn't that good? Yeah, that's how you do it, isn't it?
That's what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be sitting out of the country, sitting hopefully at a bar, looking at it on my phone.
Exclusively, can you tell us where?
I'm going to Glasgow for the weekend.
I thought it was somewhere exotic.
No, not that exciting, no. Just a wee city break. So
it's a fine city, that's for sure.
It's not a place I've ever been to.
Oh, I like it.
So I'll have to go and explore, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the sights. I'm a big fan of Still Game. Do you ever watch it?
No.
No, a comedy show. Very, very good. So I'd like to go and see some of the sights around it, but whether I get time or not, who knows?
Well, you never know if you are about. We might just record you live from Glasgow on the podcast, but then again, I don't think
my wife will let you.
And I tell you
You're off.
I tell you what, she's just right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're here in Lurgan. If you have a location that you'd like us to broadcast the podcast, as it were, it's not broadcast, but record it for sure, well, just send us out the invitation and we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I'd love to do someday? We'll throw this out. out now, if we're on this, I'd love to do a live podcast.
You were nearly going to have one this afternoon. That's the best
That's
idea
right.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, let's get a few people around, have a chat.
You're absolutely having it.
If somebody wants to host us and have a few people around,
And make it a talking shop,
Aye.
not just us talking to each other.
let's talk some nonsense. Let's set a camera up and a microphone and talk some nonsense.
Again.
And a cup of coffee or something
Again,
stronger if
again.
possible.
It will happen. It will happen. That's it for the Your Lurgan podcast for this week. If you want to get in touch, easiest way is to write to Michael. Here's the email: info@yourlurgan.com. If you have thoughts on this podcast, you can put them in the podcast. You can put them on the video channel that this is on. You can also put them into the comments on the Facebook where you see this podcast and watching it. And wherever you are watching it, thank you for watching. If you want to go to our website, it's www.yourlurgan.com. And if you want to catch me, well, I'm all over the shop, and that's another story. I am Donald McCone.
And I'm off on my holidays. Yo!
And that was Michael Scott. Thank you for watching and listening. From Lurgan, have a nice day.
Ciao.